Hey everyone, it's Adrian from Genie Magazine, and I'm here with Alissa Musto. Alissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for reaching out. Now, you are in Boston, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because the second to last interview I just had was with another musician who's also in Boston, so there must be something something in the water over there. The people I interview, I find it very hard to describe normally. You have so many things you are. I might get you to tell people who you are and in what order, because I don't want to get in trouble. But briefly, you've written musician, singer, songwriter. I know that you've hosted like a radio show as well, and you've been on America's Most Talented Kid. You're a piano slash voice teacher, TV show host, Harvard grad, founder of a non-profit organization that connects pianos with at-risk schools, and you're Miss Massachusetts 2016, and you just had the finals at Miss America. So does that about sum it up?
That about sums it up. Absolutely. I like to stay busy.
Okay, you must have no free time. Why don't we start from the very beginning? I guess musician is, would you introduce yourself as musician first?
Always a musician. I could read music before I knew how to read. I've been playing the piano since I was 4 years old. I grew up in a family of professional musicians, so it was always around me growing up. I didn't really have any choice in the matter, but it's my passion. It's what I love to do. I've been doing it my whole life.
Right, and am I right? I think I read somewhere that you wanted to see your dad perform, was it? Because you said he's a professional musician, and he said if you want to, then you have to learn the piano or something like that.
Well, I used to wait by the door when he would go to work at night. I would
Right,
wait by the door with this guitar that I got at a garage sale, and I would want to go to work with him.
right.
And he told me that if I learned how to play the piano, then maybe someday I would be able to go sing with him.
And that's how it all started.
That's how it all started.
And when you started piano, was it was classical music to begin with, wasn't it?
It was classical music. And I learned from a teacher. I actually didn't go to my dad right away. He didn't really want to work with me. I
Okay.
think he thought I wouldn't want to listen to him.
Yeah.
So we would practice together, but he would send me to a teacher just so he was really making sure that I got the best music education that I could possibly get.
Right. And have you actually performed with him since, or?
Absolutely. Well, that's how I got my start performing in front of people as well. He would take me to
Right.
nursing homes and perform for the residents. And that's what really got me to come out of my shell and
Mm.
overcome stage fright. And I also realized there that music can make a difference in people's lives because the residents at the nursing homes, of course, I didn't understand it at the time,
Yeah.
but they were so appreciative of it. And it really made a difference in their day. And still to this day, my father and I performed together,
Yeah.
doing piano shows. And right before I went on to Miss America, we had a send-off party where we performed together.
Wow. Talk us through a little bit about, you said the music's ability to make a difference, because there's a lot of people who want to be musicians, and I think some of them focus on the fame aspect of it. I get the idea for you, I mean, fame is always good, but you also are someone who wants to give back. Obviously, you have the non-profit organization. So tell us more about your belief in music and its ability to affect other people's life for good.
Right. Well, music has made such a big difference in my own life, professionally and personally, that I knew that I had to give back. I believe so much in the power of music education because as a piano and vocal coach, I get to see the positive effects of music education every single week.
Yeah.
I get to work with kids who, maybe they were a little shy or maybe they're dealing with some problems at home or some self-esteem issues. But music is a way for them to completely come out of their shell and express themselves. And I realized that the private students that I have that are attending an elite music school, those are not the students that would benefit the most from music education. It's really the students in the at-risk communities
Right.
that would benefit the most from these effects. So I started volunteering with a number of organizations just to give back, just to do my part. And I started Changing Keys, which is my nonprofit organization, because I realized there's just one of me. And if I really want to make a difference, if I want hundreds of kids to be able to benefit from the powers of music education, then one piano can do that. One piano in an at-risk school can create that opportunity that I might not be able to give all of those kids.
Okay, so give us the website or the social media links for Changing Keys, just because you mentioned it now. So how can people find out more about that program?
Absolutely. You can go to www.changingkeys.org, or you can find Changing Keys on social media, Instagram,
Great.
Facebook, Twitter.
And I'll link it up all below.
Yes.
Tell us more about what actually happens, because it's a fascinating concept. So connecting pianos with at risk. I mean, it's great, anyone doing any work with at risk, but I think that's the first time I've heard someone connecting pianos with at risk. So tell us what you do and sort of the stories you've seen or the impacts that you've had that, you're grateful to have had.
Well, the organization is definitely innovative because it doesn't just benefit the kids, it is also environmentally friendly, and we incorporate recycling as the driving force behind making that change.
Okay.
So we actually find pianos that aren't being used, pianos and keyboards at people's homes, in their basements. Maybe they got one for Christmas that they really never got along around to using. So instead of throwing them away or just letting them sit down there collecting dust, we take those pianos, we find good homes for them, whether that be a community center or a library or a school that doesn't have a music department.
Yeah.
And then with that one piano, it gives all of the kids an endless opportunity to learn their instrument. So both parties benefit with changing keys.
How long have you been doing it for?
Well, it actually started informally. I was doing it with a few students of mine, and I had this one student, she was very talented, and she would come into her lesson every week, eager to learn, but very frustrated that she couldn't practice at home because she didn't have a piano.
Oh, wow.
So after, I did a little research, I had a friend that had a keyboard that they weren't using anymore, and I connected that with her. And seeing that change in her self-esteem and her self-image and just her attitude, I said, wow, this is incredible what this one keyboard could do. I should really try taking this to the next level. Imagine if I could do this with schools. So I've been doing this for about 2 years now.
Right. I feel like it's a good time to ask you, where do you see, because you have so much going on. I mean, you just got back from Miss America, correct?
I did. About a month and a half ago, I got back from Miss America.
So where do you see it all going? Because there's so many different avenues you could go down, and any one of them, to my mind, could be a full-time career. So where would you see yourself in 5 years and 10 years and, God forbid, 20 years? Where do you want to get to?
Oh, this is such a hard question. And I always have the same answer for people, that I have no idea. That's the crazy thing about the music industry, about working in entertainment, is that you don't know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Never mind 5 years. Last year at this time, I could have never seen myself as Miss Massachusetts competing for the title of Miss America. So it's just amazing how quickly things change.
Yeah.
And, it's bittersweet, but I will only be Miss Massachusetts for 1 year, and then I have to give on the title to someone else. So that will definitely take a little bit off of my plate, but I hope to accomplish as much as I can in my community before then.
Let's go into pageants. I have interviewed a few pageant girls before, and I know that time when it comes to give over the sash can be a very heart-rending moment. I mean, they're proud and they're really sad at the same time. How did you get involved in the pageant scene?
Well, once again, I was at work, and this woman came in, and she wanted to sign up her daughter for voice lessons, and we were just talking, and she actually confused me for another girl that competes in pageants in the area. Oh. And I said, oh, no, that's not me. I'm not elegant or graceful. I was very studious in school and in the band, and not your stereotypical pageant competitor. Sure. So I looked up online what Miss America was all about, and that's where I learned it's a scholarship organization, the largest scholarship provider for women in the world. I was in school at the time. I needed a little extra money, and it was another way for me to perform in front of people. And actually, it was another way for me to perform classical music. Like I said before, I was classically trained, but I don't really get to perform a lot of classical music. Unfortunately, where in Boston, there's not the market for it if you want to be making a living as a full-time musician. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a dying art, but Miss America stage was someplace where I could do that, and it would be appreciated.
I noticed in some of your songs, I think it might have been in your covers, that you sort of wended, I heard anyway, because I'm classically trained as well, little phrases from classical pieces into the covers, and which I thought was brilliant. I felt like I just heard something that maybe not everyone else would have clued into. But tell us more about Miss America. So I wasn't aware. So when you say scholarship, so was it the largest scholarship provider?
For women in the world, absolutely. A lot of people think that if not only do you win the crown and sash, You win some sort of monetary compensation, but with Miss America, you win a scholarship.
Right.
So I've gained about $20,000 in scholarship money so far.
And that's for you to use in any way that you feel, obviously, I mean, benefits yourself, benefits the community, but it's for you to use however you see fit.
For your education.
Wow, I had no
And
idea.
I plan on going back to grad school, adding one more thing into the mix because I'm not quite busy enough. But I'm very lucky that I do have that additional funds to pay for my graduate school education.
Sure. How much free time do you have just whilst we're talking about it?
Well, not very. You know, the thing about this industry is that I go from being really, really busy, not being able to get any sleep at all, to having lots of free time. So it really varies between the week. This next week coming up, I'm pretty sure I booked every hour of every single day, but I like it that way.
Okay, so you don't want to be sitting around twiddling your thumbs with nothing to do.
Yeah, not at all.
Just on the pageants again, so you won Miss Massachusetts, so congratulations for
Thank
that. When you win something like that, I mean, you're using it as a platform. You said you didn't really identify as a pageant girl. How does that feel? Did you ever think you'd be on the stage, getting the sash, getting the crown, or, I mean, how does that feel to you? How did it feel winning?
I think that everyone that competes definitely envisions that. They have those dreams and they think, wow, what if that was me? That would be so incredible. But to be honest with you, the schedules they have us going through are so exhausting. I mean, when you're in a pageant, you're rehearsing 6+ hours a day and you have to do the dance numbers. And I'm not a dancer, so I found those things particularly hard.
Right.
So by the time the actual pageant comes and crowning comes, you're just ready to fall asleep.
That could be quite embarrassing if they call you out.
It would be quite embarrassing, and of course it's very exciting, but you're definitely just running on adrenaline at that point.
Can you tell people what's maybe the one most surprising thing that you've learned about pageants? Having not been the sort of girl that's dreamt every day of being a pageant girl, what's maybe 1, 2, or 3 things that people don't know about pageants that you think would most surprise them?
Well, the first thing is that the girls that compete are usually pretty nice. Usually in the movies and the media, they portray the girls as being pitted against each other, or being catty, but everyone's very supportive and very welcoming and encouraging. So that was definitely a plus. The other thing that would surprise people is how much food they actually give us throughout the week. There's lots of pizza, there's lots of candy, there is so much food. You'll go to a rehearsal and there will be an entire table, buffet style, for lunch and dinner. So it's not like these girls are, they're not eating anything or they're watching. Pageant girls eat a lot.
So you do eat it? I just feel like it's sort of torture
absolutely.
test. You're about to go out in a bikini and you got the pizza in front of you and you have to sort of smack your own
Well,
hand.
maybe not right before you're about to go out in the bikini, but definitely the morning of.
Right. That's fascinating. How much further are you going to take the pageant journey? So you Miss Massachusetts, which runs for a year. You've just been back from Miss America. So was this like a one-off? That's cool, I won Miss Massachusetts, or is it something that's going to go further?
Well, for now, like I said before, I never really saw myself much as a pageant girl. I was not really a career competitor. So I was very happy with my experience at Miss America. I was a semifinalist. I was very happy to win Miss Massachusetts. So I'm just looking forward to fulfilling my year as Miss Massachusetts, serving my community, but then when I'm done, really getting back to focusing on what's number one to me, which is my music and spreading that passion for music with others.
Sure. So let's go on to the music. You're a singer, songwriter, and you're one of those people I envy because you can play the piano and sing at the same time, which to me just blows my mind. I mean, I've seen on your website you've been compared to Elton John, and I did download your music. I started listening to it, and I was like, yeah, I get that vibe as well. How do you do that? I mean, just as someone who I classically trained but in violin, was it natural to you to be able to just play and perform one of your own songs and sing at the same time?
Well, performing my own music is so different than performing covers.
Right.
I think the covers, I think definitely having that classical technique helped me so much when learning pop and contemporary music because, quite frankly, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Play.
Yeah, I know that.
If you can play Bach, if you can play Mozart, you can play anything.
You can play Britney Spears, probably okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Just learn a few chords. But I think the most important thing for people that are looking to play the piano and sing or any instrument sing is that you have to look at them independently, and you have to be able to do each one well independently. People don't think of your voice as an instrument, but it really is. It's something that you have to nurture, you have to work on, you have to build a technique with, just like you would on the piano. So I think what helps me the best and what helps me sustain my voice, because a lot of times I'll be singing 4 nights in a row and I need to be able to, still project and be able to hit those notes without blowing out my voice, is working on my voice separately as an instrument and then working on my piano and my technique separately.
What's the best part about performing? Because I know you perform a lot live. So what are the best things about getting to perform your songs or covers or whatever it is in front of an actual audience versus a recording studio?
I think the best part is at the end of the night when someone was either celebrating their birthday or some sort of special occasion, and they make a point to come up to you and say, hey, that really made my night. I really appreciated it. Or on a Sunday morning when I check my email or my Facebook and there's messages from people that had seen me perform the night before. And it just goes to show you that music really had some sort of impact on them, or it affected them in some way. I don't always know what that impact or effect is, but knowing that I'm touching people's lives, or that even I'm making someone's night, that's the most fulfilling part of my job. Because you never know who in the audience really needs that.
Who needs to hear that song at that particular time.
Exactly.
That's very true. You do write your own songs. Can you walk us through your songwriting process? I did catch a quick video clip of you on YouTube describing it, but what goes into actually writing your own songs? Because again, from my perspective, writing words is one thing, writing a tune is one thing, and then being able to put it together in a way that tells a story and then performing it. I mean, walk us through how you're able to do that.
Well, sometimes I'll just hear a melody in my head and I'll be like, oh, I got to go figure that out on the piano. And I need to record it. Right away, I need to record it because, quite frankly, I'll forget it.
Right.
So I'll record really quick on my cell phone, and I'll build some chords around it and try to develop the idea. Sometimes it will come to me. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will come weeks later.
Right.
But I keep a journal for lyrics where when I come up with ideas or I think of rhymes that I like, I write them down. And oftentimes when I write a song, I will completely change the lyrics that I originally wrote for it.
Really?
Because I'll completely scrap the song because I like the melody, but I just needed filler words for the time being. And then later on, I'll rewrite the song. I'll use those bits and pieces that I kept in my journal. And it's not always the whole song idea. Sometimes those words or those lines are just the missing links, the missing pieces.
So it sounds like you almost have a scrap file of ideas.
Exactly.
It will organically at one point start coalescing into an actual song. Versus what I've heard some other people do is like they get inspired and they write a song from start to beginning like in one day, and then for the rest of it they have no inspiration whatsoever.
Well, I've definitely gone through that as well. I think sometimes when you go through something that's particularly touching or emotional, you will just have that idea and you write it all out and oh man, that would be great. I wish I could do that every day.
I know some classical composers were supposed to do that, like Mozart was famous for doing that. If we could only be so lucky.
It would be great.
I actually wonder sometimes what those sorts of composers would think about the music that we're performing these days. But talk us through Black Flak, because that's the one that I've just been listening to. And it's not to blow smoke, it's a fantastic song. It's fantastically moving. And also the video that it's shot to, I don't quite know like where they shot together, but it was a really sort of, I don't want to say sad, but the ending in particular, without giving it away, was really, really touching. So tell us about Black Flak, tell us about the song, tell us about the video, and I'm going to link it up below because it's a really epic song.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It was actually inspired by a poem that I was reading, The Death of the Ball Turret Gunner, which is a World War II poem. There is a lot of World War II poetry that has very dark but very rich imagery.
Sure.
And when I read that poem, it was a very short poem, but it was just so emotional because, I mean, right now I couldn't imagine going through that, being at war and going through what these men and women were facing and seeing. And that poem, for some reason, it just really stuck to me. And that line, Black Flak and the Nightmare Fighters. And on a physical level, it's about not being able to see, being in the sky and not knowing if you're going to get shot down or what is happening. And you physically can't see because there's black smoke around you. And I sort of transformed that into more of a metaphor about being encompassed in this smoke or this fog where you don't know what's next. You don't really know what's going on. You just know that there's tension. You know that something's happening. And all throughout the song, it goes back and forth between that World War II imagery, but also that sense of unknown.
And the video, how did the video come to be? Did you have input on that, or what happened with the video? Because the video is really compelling as well.
It is. Well, I actually won a contest to have that video made. It was called the Music to Video Contest, and it was a search for artists, across the country. And what we did, we just submitted a song, and people voted online, and my song was the winning one. And it was great because the filmmaker was right in Massachusetts.
Right.
We got down and we got talking, and I said, I want there to be somehow encompass the World War II imagery, but other than that, you do what you feel is necessary. And I was so happy with what he came up with. And I loved how he visualized someone going through a struggle. Obviously, for everyone, that struggle is different, but I think at the end, he did a really great job.
Definitely. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't, many Hollywood movies feel compelled to give us a happy ending.
Right.
This one didn't really have the happy ending, and it left it there. It's like, that actually, in my mind, made it more powerful.
It was, and I don't know if you can notice it. It took me a few times to watch it to notice is right at the end, it's actually starting to snow. And we didn't plan that, obviously. But
I didn't
right
see that.
in the last scene is he's walking away. And like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but it's starting to snow, which also added a little drama to that ending.
That's just perfect timing. Is your music, that one is, I don't quite know how to describe it, mellow / very thoughtful. Does your music tend to be along those lines? I was thinking, I know someone wrote Adele. I myself was thinking Dido. Where you said Black Flak, she had her album White Flag.
Yes.
Does your music tend to go along that vein, or is it you're open to everything and sometimes will be more Elton John? And what musical influences do you have?
I would say that I'm open to everything. I've always been a very serious person, a little bit of an old soul, and I think my music is definitely reflective of that. I tend to write about very serious topics, but I do have songs that are just very fun, and that's all they're really meant to do, just to have fun with it. So I am very inspired by Elton John, but also Bruce Springsteen, a lot of the rock and roll artists, even some country, even some jazz. I try to listen to as much music as possible because I think that makes, the more informed you are, the more influences you have, the better you can write.
For sure.
But I wouldn't be able to categorize my music in one specific genre because I do draw all of those influences from different places.
Which I think is great, because I think labeling someone's music is kind of like labeling a person, and no one person is just one label.
Right, exactly.
I do want to ask you this horrible question, which is like, what are your favorite songs of all time?
Oh, this is a tough one.
I know, that's why I said it's a horrible question. We're doing what you do and you listen to it all the time, like top songs of all time, if I can go there, what are maybe some of the ones that you would have floating in your head?
I love Vienna by Billy Joel. I think that's an inspiring song. I love Ironic by Alanis Morissette. It's one of my favorite. Let's see. Jungle Land by Bruce Springsteen. It's about 7 or 8 minutes. It's not one of his most popular songs, but it does tell an entire story, which I love, which I try to do with my music. And it also incorporates a lot of different musical styles within that one song.
Sure. Did you see Elton John? There's a video of Elton John performing with Billy Joel live.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, I have seen that. But I heard since then they've gotten to a little bit of a rivalry and they don't perform anymore together. Which is so heartbreaking to me because they're two of my favorites. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any of them performing live? I haven't, but I would love to see either one of those two live.
I've seen Billy Joel twice live.
Right.
and I've seen Bruce Springsteen 3 times.
Wow.
And they're incredible performers, and even they're getting up there. You can't stay young forever, but beyond their voice and beyond their musical abilities is their ability to entertain, to get up there on a stage and command it.
It's a performer versus just a musician.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so many performers and concerts today, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's background dancers and there's light shows and there's props.
You just want to strip it all down.
Exactly.
What's left.
And when you see these guys perform, that's what it is. It's stripped down, but they command it. To be able to keep 40,000 people focused on what you're doing, that's incredible. It says a lot about them.
I'm assuming here, but you must have performed Piano Man.
Oh, every night of the week.
I kind of wanted. I want to see. I have a video. I don't know if there is a video, but a video of you performing that with the. I don't know if you're able to do the other part as well. Was it the mouth organ or?
Yes, the harmonica. I do have one of those, and I put it right on. It goes like this, and I play the piano at the same time.
Have you got a video of that up?
Oh.
I don't know. I'm just being completely
Somebody has to have a video of it because I'm no joke. I do it every night.
Yeah. There's something so iconic about that song within the first phrase, just hearing
exactly within that first chord and that first harmonica riff, people always start screaming and clapping because they know it's coming.
Yeah. What does it take as someone? I don't know if you would you view yourself as being successful in the music industry at this point?
I don't think anyone ever views themselves as successful.
Right.
I think once you start thinking, okay, I've done it, that's when you stop growing.
Yeah.
So have I been lucky? Absolutely. Have I had success with it? Yes. And I'm very fortunate and I'm very grateful for all of the opportunities I've had. And not many people can say that they make a full-time income as a musician, which I'm extremely grateful for. However, of course, I always want to see myself growing, getting better, not only as a musician, not only as an artist, but with my popularity and with my songwriting. So I think there's always room for improvement, no matter who you are.
If someone wants to make it as a professional musician, so as you, that first step of actually being able to, have food on the table because they're making an income through doing it, how would you advise them? Because, a lot of people are going, okay, I'd love to do what you're doing, maybe in a slightly different way, but I'd love to do what you're doing. Tell me the steps to take to get to where you are, or is there any easy way to tell me, can I make it, or should I be trying something else? How would you advise someone who wants to make it in the industry?
Well, what I tell my students, because of course, they're young, they think it's glamorous and exciting, they want to be professional musicians, you have to learn cover music. It's great writing your own songs, but you're not going to get booked, quite frankly. There are very few markets left in the United States where you're going to get booked solely on your ability to play your original music, no matter how good it is. Yeah. And you have to know at least 50, at least 100 cover songs to be able to go and perform and put on a complete entertaining show. And not only will that make you improve as a musician, but that will make you improve as a songwriter and an artist because it forces you to listen to all those different influences and to listen to the types of music. People get kind of jaded. They think, my music's really good. I don't need to play cover songs. Or sometimes I've even seen people that write original music kind of have an attitude or kind of look down at people that play cover music. But you need to pay your dues. Yeah. That's how you're going to build a fan base. That's how you're going to get people listening to you, is by paying your dues. And the other thing I would say is you just have to get ready for people to tell you no. And you're going to get fired from every single job that you ever have as a musician, because very rarely do you leave a show, but more than likely there'll be a new manager or a place will close down or something will happen where you no longer have that job. Right. So you just have to be ready you have to be ready for that rejection, and you can't let it tear you down, because there will be other places that hire, there will be other shows, and and I've had my share of being torn down and being told that I'm not right for the room, or I'm not good, or I'm not a good singer. Or you just can't let it bother you. You can take the constructive criticism and work on it and make yourself the best you can be. but you can't let that destroy you.
Did you ever struggle with growing tough skin, as someone else said? I mean, was it something that came quite naturally to you? The rejection could sort of bounce off, or was it something that you had to learn being in the industry and going through those rejections that actually, hey, I need to brush this off so I can move on?
Well, I was always a competitive person growing up.
Hmm.
I did a lot of talent competitions, piano competitions. I did sports in high school. So I think being involved with competitions is that it teaches you how to lose graciously.
Mm.
And of course, I was very successful and very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities. But the losses, although they hurt, they made me learn things too,
Yeah.
and they made me grow as a person. So I had that tough skin going into the world as a professional musician, but of course it hurt every time someone said things or of course you take it personally
Yeah.
because when you're an artist, when you're a musician,
Putting yourself out
that
there.
is your defining characteristic. You are your music, and
Yeah.
when someone offends your music, that's offending you.
Yeah. It's not like if you make a mistake, I guess if you're an accountant and someone says, oh, you made a mistake there, it's like, it feels like it's more personal, right?
Exactly.
Alissa, if people want to connect with you and or check out your sounds, what are the best ways to do that?
Well, if you want to listen to my music, you can check it out on iTunes and Amazon. But my website is www.alissamusto.com, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well.
Great. And I'll link all those up below. I was checking out your Instagram. I do my research. There was one Instagram photo you have, and you're holding up, it's a fruit. Did you ever find out what that very random fruit was? I assume you know the photo I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're
Did
talking
you find out
about.
what it was?
I never found out what that was.
It's a jackfruit,
A jackfruit. All
which is
right.
closely related to a durian, but a durian is smaller and a lot spikier. Jackfruit is that, yeah. So, just so you know.
Oh, I was gonna guess that it was related to a cantaloupe. That was my conclusion, but I
Not quite. And from what I've heard, it doesn't taste anything like a cantaloupe either. But it's considered a delicacy and considered to be very healthy in a lot of Asian parts of the world. So I just thought I'd point that out for you.
Oh, well, thank you. You learn something new every day. That's fantastic.
There you go. And also, you're a vegetarian as well.
I am.
Was that something that has always been the case, or was that by choice recently, or how did that come about?
I've been a vegetarian since I was in high school. I grew up in cultures where meat is very much part of the diet.
Yeah.
So that was a tough transition for more my family than for me. But at the end of the day, I feel better health-wise, and I feel it's something good that I'm doing for the environment and the
Yeah,
world around me.
definitely. Fantastic. Okay. Let's wrap this up. I'm going to give you the same 10 questions that I give everybody. And if you've seen any of my interviews, you may or may not know, but we'll go into it anyway. So number one, what is your favorite word?
Weird word. Vicissitudes. It's means the struggles of something. I had my uncle use it one time when I was about 12 years old. It was the biggest word I had ever heard.
Yeah.
And I just started using it whenever I could because I thought it was cool. It made me sound smart.
When you said it, I was trying to think. I thought I knew what it meant, and it was that. Have you ever used that word in a song?
I have not. That would
Try
be
that.
good though.
I don't know how you can put that
It would
word.
be hard to find something that rhymed with that.
Yeah. Well, the other one that people asked was orange, that nothing rhymes with orange.
Oh, that's true.
So those are the two words you could never have in a song.
Very
Number two, what is your least favorite word?
can't. I don't like when students say I can't do this. I can't. It's not that you can't, it's just that you're not trying. And as a teacher and as someone who works with kids a lot, I hear that all the time.
I can see that fires you up a little bit. So it's obviously
Yeah.
not something that you just thought about recently. What about number three? What turns you on?
Confidence. I feel like when I'm confident, when I wake up and I say, you know what, I'm going to have a good day, then it turns on. It's there. When I feel good going into something,
Yeah.
then I know that I'm my biggest enemy. So
Right.
if I don't feel good about something going into it, or if I'm doubting myself, then I'm not going to give it 100%.
Just as an aside, do you view yourself as a perfectionist?
Yes.
Right. Okay. That seems to be a common trend. Uh, Not surprising. Number 4, what turns you off?
Oh, this is a tough one. What turns me off?
I want to be able to ask these questions at the end of a pageant. I know you go through interviews in pageants. I've always wanted to ask these 10 questions.
These are good questions. I will definitely keep these in mind. What turns me off? When there's too much going on,
Overwhelmed.
overwhelmingness, and which is a fine line
Yeah,
that
because you
come
sound like you
across
like to
a
live
lot.
on the edge. So it's a very fine line between, yes, I'm
Exactly.
busy, and no, oh my God, I'm losing it. Okay. Number 5, this is one I love asking musicians. What sound or noise do you love?
Well, of course, music, but I think
Too
that's not a
generic.
very good answer. A sound or a noise?
I've never had anyone say an instrument, and I've interviewed country musicians, classical musicians, and they've never mentioned anything about music. So once, what sound or noise do you love?
I think if I had to go with an instrument, I think the violin is a very beautiful, very
Hmm.
soothing instrument. I listen to a lot of classical music as I go to sleep,
Right.
and definitely the violin.
I, I'd go with that. I'm happy with that. I'm a violinist, but I can tell you
Oh,
that
okay.
when you hear it played badly,
Well, that is the worst thing.
that,
And I do work at a music school where sometimes I'll hear this kids in the other room and they're practicing. Oh boy.
yeah, nails on the chalkboard kind of thing.
Exactly.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I don't like when an instrument is out of tune. A saxophone, or my sister plays saxophone, or a piano. It bothers me so much because you know how the song is supposed to sound,
Yeah,
and the quality of the instrument is just destroying it.
yeah, that makes sense. What about number 7? Now, you may or may not be able to answer this one, but what is your favorite curse word? And if you can't say it, you can give us a clue.
My favorite curse word. Um, well, I won't say it, but it was something that I may or may not have heard my parents say around the house when I was a kid, and I didn't really know what it meant. So I got into school and
No,
out of anger, I said it once, and
no.
no one really reacted. I didn't know why because I knew it was a bad word. I knew it was bad, but it's because it was in Italian, so
Oh,
people didn't really know what it was.
okay.
So um, I guess I swear in Italian when I get angry.
That's a good trick. Especially being in the pageant world, you don't want people to know that you swear. So if you can swear in
Mhm.
another language, that's fantastic.
Exactly. They don't know what you're saying.
They just think you're being very passionate, which is great. Number 8, what job or profession other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Would I most like to attempt? Well, I went to school for government, so I always think it would be interesting to have a job working in Washington, D.C. in politics. I know
Especially
that's
around about
something
now.
that scares a lot of people right now, but I found the energy and the excitement and, the scandal, it's everything very exciting and interesting.
It's definitely very exciting, especially at the moment. Everywhere in the world, that's
Exactly.
all you see headlines is did this, did that, didn't. It's like it's a scandal.
Mhm.
Number 9, what profession other than your own would you not like to attempt?
A garbage man.
Fair enough. Okay.
They could never do that because not only do they have to deal with the trash, but they have to ride on the end of the cars, and that seems pretty dangerous
Yeah.
just to be standing on the truck.
Well, you're not the first person that's given me that answer, so you're in good stead. Final question. If God exists, what would you like to hear him or her say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like I would like him to say that I did a good job with my life and that I did what I was put on the earth to do. I think everyone struggles with, whether they're doing the right thing or whether they could be doing more or whether they're really living their life to the fullest and making the most of the difference that they can. But at the end of the day, I would just like to know that I did what I was supposed to do, whatever that may be.
Sure. Do you feel like you are living your life to the fullest as we speak at the moment?
I think I am. I think I am.
Well, Alissa, thank you so much for your time. It's been great getting to talk to you. I will put all the links below, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and we will speak to you again next time. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you so much.